Hello friends, welcome to Global Online. Today we are discussing NTA UGC NET 2023 Paper 2 Economics. In this class, we discuss about business cycle and its concept from Macroeconomics. So let me discuss with the topic using PYQs. So that will really help you to get an idea about the questions from this topic. Okay, we start with the first question. The term business cycle refers to what? Or the meaning of the business cycle is what? Here there are gives an options: ups and downs in production of commodities, fluctuating level of economic activity, decline in economic activity, or increasing unemployment rate and diminishing rate of savings. So the B and C option look alike sign, but the B option says about the fluctuating level, the C says about the declining economic activity. Okay, and the answer is fluctuating levels of economic activity or the changing economic activities represented in a business cycle. So we can get an idea about the activities that will changing over a period of time from a business cycle. So the business cycle helps to get an clear idea of a fluctuating economic activity. Next question, leading indicator is. Leading indicator means what? And here the variable tends to move with the level of economic activity or along the economic activity, or the variable moves in advance of aggregate economic activity, or it moves a consequent on the level of economic activity, or none of this. So here leading means the forwarding movement of an economic activity. So it means advance. Okay. So the leading means advance. So the answer for this variable that tends to move in advance of aggregate economic activity. So we can get the economic activity that is advanced way or in a future way of representing an economic activity by leading indicator. So leading indicator we use in business cycle to get an idea about the advanced movement of aggregate economic activity. Next question. Variable tends to move later than aggregate economic activity. So here the variable that not move along or advance, it move later than economic activity is called lagging variable. So in this, the lagging variable indicate that a drawback of a aggregate economic activity. It moves after or later than the aggregate economic activity. So that is lagging. Clear? And before we move into the next question, a quick look at what Global Online offering for you. We provide complete syllabus, video lectures, notes, mock test, and last 10 years PYQs. So that will really help you to get an idea about your exam and also the questions related with the topic. And you can get from our app in the Play Store. After installing our app, get enrolled for the required course. Whether you have any doubt regarding to that, please contact with the given WhatsApp number. Okay, so only WhatsApp you can get and get paper 1 complete course free with paper 2. Next question, decrease in government spending. What? So here the aggregate economic activity, from that we can get the aggregate government spending. So the government spending is decreasing. It indicate aggregate demand curve to shift to the right, or aggregate demand curve shift to the left, or it move down to the right along the demand curve, or it move up to the left along the aggregate demand curve. So when the aggregate economic activity or the government spending increases, it means that a positive impact or a rightward movement. That is like that. This is a aggregate economic demand curve and this is the changed aggregate demand curve. So that is a rightward shift here. And when decrease in government spending indicate a leftward movement, that is from here. So here the aggregate demand curve shift to the left is the answer. Clear? Next question. Best description of a typical business cycle. Here we want to get the best description for a typical business cycle. We know that a business cycle will represent the fluctuation in an economy. And we want to get what a typical business cycle will describe. Whether it's economic expansion followed by economic contraction, or inflation by raising income and unemployment, and economic expansion followed by economic growth, or stagflation. Here the stagflation indicate there are no change for the variables, that is a stagnation in the economy with an inflation. So the answer is economic expansion are followed by economic contraction. In business cycle, we can get an idea of a expansion followed by a contraction. So both cases, expansion and contraction, we get from a single graph. That is a wave-like movement. Okay, so this is a expansion and this is a contraction level. So both the cases we can get from a typical business cycle. Next question. During recession. So recession period is a period of low economic growth. So during recession, what about the unemployment rate and what about the output? Whether it rises or falls, or rises and rises, and falls or rises, or falls or falls. So the answer is rises and falls. So during the recession, the unemployment is rises and the output is falls, because the low economic growth will indicate an low growth in the economy. So it happen a unemployment rate and also the output to fall. Clear? Then an important question from business cycle, that is the 4 phases of business cycle. The important 4 phases of business cycle are expansion, peak, contraction and trough. Clear? So these are the 4 phases of business cycle. Next question. Leading economic indicators. And the leading variable is the advance movement in the aggregate economic activity. So what about leading economic indicators? Whether it used to forecast probable shift in economic policy, or forecast economic fluctuation, or indicators of stock prices, or indicators of probable recession and depression. So what about the leading economic indicator? That's to forecast economic fluctuation, or economic indicators changing during the period will indicate by a leading economic indicator. Okay. Then aggregate economic activity is declining. So the economy is said to be what? Or when the aggregate economic activity means the production, supply, or any other changes that happening in the economy that is declining or it reducing. So what about the economy? Whether it contract, expand, trough or turning point. We can get an idea that it is declining. So that's a negative impact. So the expansion and the turning point, both the points, the one is expansion and the other is turning point, both the points will a positive impact. So the both expansion and turning point is not the answer. From contraction and trough, that is contraction is the answer, because in trough that's the lowest point in the business cycle, or here the trough the economic activity is at the lowest period. It is declining is a point of contraction. Okay. Then which of the following is not an example? Here not gives not an example of coincidence indicators. Coincident indicators: industrial production, inflation, retail sales, new orders for plant and equipment. Here what is not the example of coincident indicator? And the answer is new orders for plant and equipment. A coincident indicator, that is an economic statistical indicator that moves or that more or less in a simultaneously with general economic condition. So here that reflect a current status of the economy. Okay, the typical example is industrial production or turnover. So here the new orders of plant and equipment is the new condition. It does not existing in an economy for long period. Okay, the industrial production, inflation, retail sales, these are existing in the economy in a more or less way. But the new orders for plant and equipment is the future consideration. Okay, so this is not an example of coincident indicator. Clear? And the question this for you, economic indicators are. Here the economic indicator says what? A one-stroke solution to check the phase of economy, or indicators showing the movement, or some activities which predict the direction, or just an illusion. So what is the or what about the economic indicators will says about, or what is the impact of economic indicators in the economy? And you can answer the question in the comment box, take it as a challenge, and then you get an idea about what is an economic indicator from this question. Okay, so we wind up this session with this question, and any doubt regarding to this question will please ask in the comment box. Thank you.